Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your week ahead tarot scope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's a pleasure to have you. Your key to the week this week is the Empress card. Fruitful endeavors are what await you when you get stuck in this week. I really like this card for you, especially because it suggests that this week you are experiencing the best of everything that life can offer you. It may also be that this week you're paying more attention to the aesthetic of anything that you're working on. How does your website look if you have one? How does your work present if you're writing something, if you're speaking? How do you look? This might also be a time where some of you are going through a bit of a change when it comes to your aesthetic. You might be really starting to understand that the way that you present at this moment in time is not what you feel like. All right, so you might this week sort of kind of say to yourself, okay, I'm ready to start cleaning up my act. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but because you feel like maybe you're not necessarily presenting as the best aspects or elements of yourself. So I really like this. The other thing with the Empress card, this is an abundant card. It brings blessings wherever it shows up because it represents Venus, right? So this is really a good week as well. I would take a minute to be really grateful for all of the things in your life that you bring, that you believe bring beauty and pleasure and enjoyment into your life. Remember, if you've been with me long enough, you know I bang on about gratitude all the time, right? This is a week where if you amplify that gratitude energy, what you get back out of it will be tenfold. For your, or should I say before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So your jumping card there was the King, or the Father of Pentacles in this deck. And that coupled with the Empress card literally represents a Taurus man. So a Taurus man could feature for you over the course of this week. This does suggest that in some way, shape or form, this is somebody that is going to help you. The way that you tell when the Empress shows up with a court card, the way that you know that this person has shown up in your life, they tend to be very easy on the eyes. Anyone that shows up with the Empress either has an air of refinement about them, maybe their speech is really beautiful, or they've got a melodious voice, or when you see them, you're just like, you know, like they tend to be very handsome, very beautiful, very comely, as they say in the old tongues. What really strikes me here, though, is that the King of Pentacles can also be where your career takes some kind of advancement. This can be where you really start to see an elevation when it comes to your work, your finances, even maybe even your aesthetic. This is where you're starting to really see tangible results for everything that you're already doing or have already set into motion. The other thing with that King of Pentacles as an options card, this does suggest that this week you will get an opportunity to advance yourself in some way, shape or form. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Ten of Cups. If there is something that you need to ask for, if you have a request that you need to make, do it this week, all right? Like this is a great week for you. That Ten of Cups, not only because you've got this with the Empress card, not only do you have the golden tongue, but something that you want, anything that you request this week, people are very likely to give to you. Now, for a lot of you, this could be talks around beautifying the home, maybe potentially investing in property. For those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, this could be where you get top marks. This could be it's like something that you've really worked hard on. You put it out and kind of like, okay, I've done my best. This is all it can be. And it's like you get a really amazing grade, or you get some kind of accolade because of it. For those of you that are employed by somebody else, similar kind of energy. You could get a big, not realization, but like you could be put on this week. So maybe you get a bonus, maybe you get called into the office and you're like, oh, here we go. Right, and your boss says to you, look, we just want to say thank you, we're giving you a little bonus. There's like there's some great news coming into the workspace, and it will be something that's not just for you personally. You'll be able to share this with the people that you love. When it comes to those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, I really like this for you, either re-establishing yourself in some way, or finally feeling like you have arrived in your business. There's a sense that this week you're having a peak experience. It could, you know, that peak experience might not be whistles and bells and celebrity clients. It could just be one of those moments. And I can give you a really good example. I remember the day that I hit the 2000 mark on my channel. And it was so surreal because, like, I think it was only about 2-3 weeks before I was like, oh my gosh, I've just hit 30 subscribers. And I had this moment where I was like, oh my God, I felt really emotional because of it. Because sometimes it is just a small moment, right? But it's a moment where you feel like, yeah, you know what, I've actually arrived and this is happening for me. So whether it's small, whether it's large is irrelevant. I will say this is a great week to be working on the aesthetics of your business. This is a really good time to look in on your websites, on your pictures, on your messaging, all of this stuff that is visual this week, because the Empress rules those kinds of things. And whether anybody, you know, and a lot of people, especially like in the spiritual community, I'm just going to put this out there right now, I'm calling bullshit on a lot of it. Lots of them are like, oh, I don't care about looks and I don't care how anything, you know, presents. I'm not about the aesthetic. And then when you look through their feeds and stuff, you're like, you really totally fucking are. Like, just own it. That's a part of human existence as well, is to like things that look good. It's really a part of the experience. We're here to experience the entire fucking spectrum. So all these people that are like, oh, don't worry about the aesthetic, that stuff just doesn't matter, and, you know, just put yourself, I haven't got time for it. I'll switch off at that point, because I'm like, yeah, okay, so you're denying a fundamental part of life. I'm not saying it's the only thing that matters, but when we get certain messages to lean in on things, that's where we work them up. The other thing about Venus is she loves cleanliness, right? So whether this is your speech, whether it's your diet, whether it's your body, whether it's your business, whether it's the language that you're using online, it says Rafs, you know, they're effing and blinding every 5 seconds. I'm sorry, I have a potty mouth. My Venus is in Aries. That's my excuse, I'm sticking to it. So she a feisty hoe. Jokes aside, this is, yeah, so this will be like, this can be a week where you clean up and you neaten up everything to really get it into that slick, sort of well-oiled machine. Now, when it comes to those of you that are retired and no longer working, if you don't have plans to go away, whether it's a day or 10 days this week, I absolutely would, right? Do something that is pleasurable and enjoyable for you. And if you can rope in family members and stuff to do this as well, even better. I love the impromptu stuff for this kind of energy, like, you know, bake a basket of muffins, tell your loved ones to come over for the day. You know, don't plan it, don't make it, because then it takes that enjoyment out of it. And I've always found, like, when you just spontaneously show up at someone's house, or they at yours, or you just kind of phone them. I mean, I always tell people not to do that because I'll leave you outside. Right? But on those days where I say, you know what, come round tomorrow, right? You cook a dinner and it's like everybody just shows up and it's just really nice and warm. You could have that this week. For your love and relations, you got the Temperance card. For those of you that are, so this is your card. For those of you that are single, you won't be for much longer. I would not be surprised, and this came up in your monthly reading, that this month you would probably meet someone who ends up being something to you in the future. I wonder if for a lot of you this is going to be this week. When it comes to those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this is, I mean, look at that, right? With the 10 of Cups. If you've had any problems, issues, or challenges with relationships, I would say this week they are blown clear out of the water, and partnership and relationship is good. Very good at that. For your money and materials, you've got the 7 of Swords. So this is the caveat, right? When it comes to your money and your finances this week, be mindful. And I say this because that 7 of Swords, you might end up overpaying for something just because you're like, wow, it looks amazing. Raph said to, you know, clean and neaten things up. So I just put 5 grand on a new website. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be big. If there is something that you're paying for, especially if it's because it's an upgrade, just make sure it does what it says on the tin. That 7 of Swords suggests you might not be getting everything that you're being sold, if that makes sense. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, the 7 of Swords is going to be your nervous system. if it's going to be anything like that, it will probably be because you overindulge this week. Venus loves sweet things, all right? When it comes to your home and environment, just because you've got this underneath the Ten of Cups, there's something, and the Empress card can also represent your environment. There's something here that you're not necessarily seeing very clearly. All right, so I just want you to be mindful of this, just to get a little serious at this point, because the Seven of Swords can be lies, deceit, backstabbing, all of that kind of stuff. Everything happens to be good, but there could be something, especially in the home, or especially to do with the external part of the home. If there's something that you're doing in that regard with the garden gate or anything like that, you could end up overpaying for it. So just be mindful of that, especially if you're doing stuff to fix up the home. Just get a second opinion, or get a second quote from somewhere else, right? Just to see if they're in the ballpark range. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how it shapes out. Take care, and I'll see you soon.